I think so. We got a call here from someone by the name of Felix coming from Florida who wants to tell us that exorcisms prove the existence of hell. Felix, Seth and I want to know how. How does that so?
First, it proves the supernatural, and it proves the claims of the Catholic Church because exorcisms is exclusively a Christian doctrine. I don't like it. And you were mentioning Noah's blood and genocide, and yeah, like God drowning babies, like that's kind of nasty, but it doesn't disprove that there is a God.
Okay.
Just
All right,
but
Felix.
exorcism,
Felix, we're sort of straying a little bit. And I hate to rein you in, but we don't have an unlimited amount of time. So exorcisms prove the existence of hell. So that means I want you to prove to me somehow that exorcisms are real. Now, in order to prove that exorcisms are real, there are certain probably elements. I've never really thought about this. But what are the elements of an exorcism? I would propose that there would be a person exists in a place, that there are demonic powers exist, that these demonic powers have the ability to sort of take control over the person in question, and that another person, uh, let's say the priest, has the ability to remove that demonic presence from the person who's possessed by the demonic presence, and that the priest uses the power of a god, the Catholic God, to do so. So therefore, the Catholic God exists. So that's a lot of elements, and each one has sub-elements. So go ahead. How can you prove to us today that exorcisms actually happen, and so on and so forth?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a well-documented case with
Mm,
Annalise Michel, and there was even a
mhm,
movie about her. But we
sure.
actually have psychiatrists who tried to treat her. She got treatment from psychiatry, Annalise Michel. It's well
Mm,
documented, but they couldn't fix her. It went
mhm,
beyond psychiatry, and these behaviors couldn't be explained by these medical professionals, such as drinking her own urine, being scared of a crucifix, shouting things in Latin, and when the priest came in to do their exorcism, she just freaked out even more. And so psychiatrists couldn't explain it, and then the priest came and performed their exorcism, and she still died. But this case is very well known, and it's very well documented.
How
okay.
would you differentiate between somebody who was possessed with an otherworldly evil and someone who was acting or perhaps, had some sort of an illness, a mental illness, or was affected in some other way? How would you tell the difference if you were in the room with a possessed person?
Yeah, these professionals who specialize in mental illness, such as psychiatrists, said, "Look, this is beyond us. We can't explain this."
Okay, well, you're
And
giving me an anecdotal claim that I'm not a source at this moment, right? To say, well, there was a psychiatrist in the room doesn't help me, right? And to say it's well documented and there was a movie about it doesn't help me. The Amityville Horror is a movie based on the DeFeo murders, but the people who went in and then talked about the spirits and the ghost and the haunting, they made a film about it, scared the hell out of a generation, and then it was revealed that it was all a hoax. It was a money-making scheme, a publicity stunt. And so, hey, it's documented and they made a film doesn't really help me. So again, if you're in the room with someone who is manifesting attributes or what seem to be attributes of an inner evil, a possession, how would you know the difference between an actual spiritual entity in that person and acting or mental illness?
um, well, I was going to say that this case went to court and everything,
Felix, I don't
literally,
think you're
but
answering. I
that
don't
doesn't
think you're
answer the
answering the
question.
question, Felix.
No, I know that. Yeah, it doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, yeah.
How would I
Go
know
ahead and
for
answer
sure?
that question. How would you know?
Um, she became intolerant of Christian sacred places and objects. Uh, I can't know for sure, but
Wait, wait.
I'm on.
She acted intolerant? Like she would scream in the presence of a crucifix and holy water and the Virgin Mary statues, etc.?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so how would you tell the difference between a spiritual reaction by the demonic spirit and somebody simply seeing the crucifix, the holy water, etc., the Virgin
Mhm.
Mary acting like they were in distress? How would you tell the difference?
If I was there, I could, but I
Okay.
wasn't.
How?
Oh, yeah. How?
How could you? What would be your criterion to know one from the other?
Every natural explanation was ruled out, and the
I'm
context.
talking about you,
Yeah.
Felix. I'm talking about you. How do you tell that you are in the room and a person is manifesting what is allegedly a possession? How would you tell the difference if they recoil from the crucifix? The power of Christ compels you, right? Are they acting or is it a real spirit? How would you know the difference?
Oh, it's that. Oh, people don't drink their own pee when they're faking it. I could. Oh, I'm trying. If I was in the room.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That line alone was worth guest hosting today, co-hosting. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? People
People
people don't
drink their
fake it
own-
when they drink their own pee.
their
It
own
was
pee.
worth that was worth my whole
Yeah.
appearance.
What if you're really committed to the role, Felix?
What if you're a method actor might actually do that?
That's right. I'm sorry, that's not quite it. But so it's just the extent to which they committed to the part that it's beyond what a person could do. Is that it?
This person died from all of this.
Okay.
The family suffered greatly. This went to court, so
Okay.
that's easy to rule out acting.
Felix, what if the person had a mental illness and part of that mental illness was a very histrionic, emotional, violent reaction to religious imagery? I mean, we have people here in this community who have had some religious trauma, and when they see religious iconography or they hear some of the language of the churches that they belong to, they have a very visceral, emotional response to that. Now, add to that perhaps some mental illness issues, perhaps add to that. Um, I don't know, some issues with maybe mental instability, and then to see that religious iconography, might they not also hypothetically, possibly, if I could add some language like that, also have a similar response to that doesn't require demons.
You're saying there's natural explanations.
I'm saying there's not the supernatural explanations have not been properly or effectively demonstrated. There were other possibilities that simply have not been ruled out, and there's a lot about this story that we have not been. We don't know the facts of. Okay,
Yeah.
it's almost like I think when Johnny's talking, I was thinking about the near-death experience. Somebody has a physical infirmity, and then they go into cardiac arrest, and they are, let's say, they're dead on the table for a couple of minutes, right? And they come back and they say, I saw a white light and I saw Jesus and I saw grandma, and I was there and it was palpable and it was tangible. But we also understand the effects of hypoxia upon the brain and how the white light is actually part of that process and hallucinating as so many parts of the brain are firing in these wild, active ways in those moments. So we're seeing a physical response, and the person may have felt it was spiritually real, but actually it was part of the natural world. The natural body was triggering those types of things. So how would you know that somebody who maybe even legitimately thought they were possessed, what if it was some other ailment, some illness, some other physical phenomenon that was going on that tricked their brain into feeling they were being attacked from the other world?
Mhm.
I guess I can't know for sure.
Sure.
Well, that's all I can ask for, brother. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're looking for,
Yeah.
right? We simply don't have the proof to be able to definitively say she was possessed.
Yeah.
And I think proof is what we need to be after.
Yeah. And to piggyback on what Seth said, we need more than just we don't have the line by line physical evidence for how this process got underway, how her mental instability resulted in X, Y, and Z. But you're asserting that there's a whole other realm to explain this, and you now have the burden of proving that demons exist, that ghosts exist, that hell and damnation exist, and a God exists. That's why I started this off with, um, because exorcisms don't exist in a vacuum. They exist within the context of a Catholic worldview. And so just because we don't know how this particular situation occurred doesn't mean that all of that exists.
I also think too,
Hmm.
she died is not proof of anything. We've
Yeah.
actually seen exposés of exorcisms that have happened all around the world where the exorcists have physically abused the victim. They've
Yeah.
withdrawn food and water because they believe they were starving the demon.
Yeah.
Perhaps they even physically beat the person trying to knock the devil out of them. We've seen a lot of instances where exorcisms have actually resulted in palpable, terrible physical harm. So to say someone died doesn't make the possession real, but it does mean that the circumstances of the exorcism need to be looked at, certainly by law enforcement. Okay.
Yeah, and I think doing some research into debunking exorcisms might shed some light on your acceptance of it. Raise your standards, Felix. I'm going to let you go. Maybe if you look into that, you might have some new perspectives on that. I've got a
I
few
like the
more.
fact that he said, I can't
Oh,
know for sure, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's,
yeah.
I think, the point we're trying to make. There's
That
no,
is,
we don't have proof.
yeah.
And so proof is what we're after. That's a step in the right
That's
direction.
the start. That's the start. I
Yeah.
can't know for sure, and then maybe the next step is I'm not sure at all. I need to keep on gathering information
I
instead
mean,
of
I've always wanted to
yeah.
speak Latin. So if I did a presentation in Denver.
Mhm.
This horrifies my wife, by the way. And I was trying to talk about how it often takes a long time to get over your fear of the devil and demons and hell and the other world, the dark spirits. And what I did was at the end of the speech, I put a picture of our notions of Satan, which was the red face and the horns, and I put it up on the big screen. And I actually said a prayer.
Mhm.
And I said, Satan, if you exist, I offer myself to you. Manifest and take me to the depths of hell in
Mhm.
front of all of these people. And it will be demonstrated that you are real. And I'm willing to sacrifice myself to you so that they will know the proof and that, blah, blah, blah. And even atheists were rattled. They came up to me afterward and they said, I was uncomfortable. Can he do that? He shouldn't say those words. What if?
Mhm.
And it tells you how deeply ingrained we are when it comes to these stories about the dark, otherworldly.
Mhm.
And, sometimes I think we have to give ourselves permission to sort of defang a lot of those things. And
Yeah,
that gives us more boldness to go and do the debunking that needs to be done.
I agree.